On the day that James Cleverly went to Rwanda, there was a cabinet meeting. Now, it was rumoured that at that cabinet meeting, they were going to discuss disapplying human rights laws to people who come to Britain illegally. They didn't do that, apparently. Apparently, they didn't even talk about Rwanda. They ignored it. But we won't. Now, before I go to my panel, I want to actually find out, get the inside track as to whether or not this supposed Rwanda deal update is legal. Is it going to work? Maybe we can just put this to bed early doors. Let's cross over to the acclaimed lawyer known as Mr. Loophole. It is Nick Freeman, who's been looking over the finer details a little bit here. Nick, look, thank you very, very much. So, is this a winner? Do we think this particular version of this Rwanda deal is actually going to have a basis in law? Is it going to work?
No, it's not going to work.
Right.
The Supreme Court 3 weeks ago upheld the Court of Appeal. What the government is doing now is what they should have done before this case reached the Court of Appeal. So they're closing the gate after the horse has bolted. The measures they're putting in place are admirable. The whole purpose of sending asylum seekers to Rwanda is to act as a deterrent. And I'm not suggesting that maybe 2 or 3 years down the road this may work. But of course, the Prime Minister is under enormous pressure. He wants the first flights to be in the air by, I think, March or April of next year. And that simply isn't going to happen, because even if they're going to send lawyers over to Rwanda, Rwanda has an appalling record on human rights. The asylum system doesn't work properly. Israel had an experiment with that and it didn't work. So what the government have said, what the Supreme Court has said is, look, that they are incentivized to make it work. And with these proposals, if the government goes back in 2-3 years' time, it may get there. But at the moment, it is bound by the Supreme Court ruling. And the government can't just waft that aside by putting different labels and plugging the gaps like that. It simply isn't going to work.
Okay.
The government's got there's two parts to the plan. One, to fill in the holes, and the second is to actually stop any appeal to any court on this particular subject. So it's actually trying to stifle the judiciary, which of course is against the rule of law. It's a significant point, and the government is not going to get away with it. It's an independent. The judiciary is completely independent.
So you think this is just a complete nonsense? And even, just quickly, Nick, even with Rwanda signing up, which is what they've done today, supposedly, to having essentially an international tribunal in their country overseeing the law and the administration of their asylum policy, and their guarantee they're not going to send anyone back to an unsafe country, and the very strong right to appeal, despite all of that, you don't think that our Supreme Court is going to say that's enough? I mean, what more do we have to do?
Well, then it needs to see it working. It needs to see it working. 3 weeks ago, it ruled it was unsafe. It's not going to become safe tomorrow. 2 years down the road, it may be safe when, after a period of time, the steps that have been put in place have been found to work. The government are already committed to spending fortunes at the moment on staff there, training them. That's the problem. There's a lot of money that's being wasted. So the government has to get this through. But my view is there's not a chance of it going through by next April. It will be much longer.
OK, look, Nick, thank you very, very much. It's Nick Freeman there, who's a top legal eagle for us. I am going to get the thoughts of my panel now. Political